We're going to talk to Kansas Senator Jerry Moran. Senator, we were going to talk about Boeing and things happening in the Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee, but we need, obviously, to talk about what happened in the last 24 hours. What are your comments, feelings about this move?
Well, understandable. It certainly seems that 2020 continues the uncertainty of 2019, kind of a news story almost every day that has consequences certainly to the economy and markets, but also to the political environment in which I work in. The Senate reconvenes today, setting the stage for all senators to be back in Washington, D.C. on Monday for a full session for work. And today our staff are being briefed on the Soleimani killing. And I would expect members of the Senate to be briefed early next week. And at the moment, mostly what I know, and I think what most of my colleagues know, maybe with a couple of exceptions of the Intel Committee and the leadership, is what's being reported on yours and other programs across the country. But it does remind us that our efforts over the last several years in getting energy independence have great value. It reminds us that once we commit ourselves to military action around the globe, in this case, Iraq, it's difficult, despite a desire by certainly President Trump, the American people, and many members of Congress to extricate ourselves from the Middle East. It is a difficult task to do, and it reminds us that we have no choice but to continue to make certain that we do the things by investment, by research, and by technology, and by personnel to make sure that our defense capabilities are significant. My hope is that we've done everything we can before this attack to protect our servicemen and women and to protect our embassy and State Department personnel, not only in Iraq, in the Middle East, but around the globe.
Okay, so we all reported and watched what was happening at the embassy over the past 3 or 4 days, Senator. We did see the president say we're not going to allow this to happen. We did see Iran then say there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Do you applaud the action of assassinating this person? I hesitate to call him a gentleman, but do you applaud the assassination that what you saw happen, what the action that President Trump took?
Everything that we know about General Soleimani indicates that he is the perpetrator of death and the death of Americans. Everything I know suggests the truth of attacks that were imminent against our soldiers, our military men and women, and we saw exactly what was happening at the embassy. So I certainly support this effort to reduce the opportunities, the desire on the part of Iran to make those attempts at killing American men and women in our military. And we have every right to protect, we would expect the Iraqi government, the Iraqi military, to protect our embassy in Iraq. It didn't happen as it, in my view, should have, and we have every right to defend ourselves.
The Boeing, switching gears, the Boeing situation, it affects us all. It's globally. It's Airbus, we're seeing clients and airlines around the world affected by this, but Kansas as well. And where are you on the management moves? You think Dave Calhoun is the right man for the job? Was a change needed? When will this be? When will we see the MAX back up in the air?
I appreciate the way that you led into this story, because I'm fearful that there are those who might forget all the things that are a consequence of the inability to get the MAX 737 recertified, safety determined and back in the skies, and providing air service to customers around the world. It is an important one. I represent Wichita, the air capital of the world. We are an aerospace and aviation center. Spirit Aerosystems, which manufactures 90% of mostly the fuselage, but 90% of the 737, is headquartered here in Kansas. And it has huge consequences economically. Of course, the answer is recertification, determination of safety. Let me certainly make it's not a caveat because it's a central principle of mine. I didn't want anything to be decided when the 737 was grounded based upon politics. It needed to be based upon science and safety. And I would say the same thing in recertification, science and safety. So I'm not asking for any kind of shortcut. But the focus by Boeing in particular and the FAA needs to be getting us to the point. I'm surprised it's taken so long. and perhaps new leadership at Boeing can make this process work more smoothly, be more transparent, get a better relationship perhaps with the FAA, and get this airplane back to where it is known to be safe. In the absence of that, there's a lot of damage being done and will be done in Kansas. Certainly with the lack of manufacturing, Boeing's decision to stop production of the 737 MAX, that means there's a lot of jobs, at least temporarily, at stake in places like Kansas. And certainly, while I mentioned Spirit Aerosystems, there are a lot of small sub-suppliers, subcontractors who work for Boeing in our state and around the country. So on behalf of all those employees who we hope can expect a paycheck every couple of weeks, this needs to be resolved quickly, and hopefully new leadership moves the process along.
Senator, you're on the Aviation and Space Subcommittee. From watching this and kind of seeing how it played out, what's your sense of who was to blame on this? It seems like the new FAA leader thought that he was kind of getting bullied by the old CEO from Boeing.
But we've certainly had the former CEO of Boeing in front of our committee. We've had the FAA administrator. We've heard from both. I think generally it's a belief that the FAA is doing its job well. And I think there was a desire to see a stepping up of the efforts by Boeing. I think there needs to be members of Congress, and certainly the FAA, which is the most important factor here, needs to be satisfied. Not only is the 737 MAX safe, but also, I mean, the training that goes with that, the pilot training is appropriate, but also that the culture at Boeing is fully committed to safety. Again, there just needs to be this reassurance that Boeing is the company that we need it to be and want it to be.
Secretary Pompeo is, I guess, a favorite son, huh?
He is a favorite son of Kansas and comes from that air capital of the world.
I know.
And he's in the spotlight this morning.
I was thinking about the Shockers. Actually, I was wondering whether you're a Shockers fan as well.
My wife and I, Rob and I, were at the Shockers game on New Year's Day.
They pulled it
saw
out.
The Shockers. They did. They beat East Carolina. Now we have a new president coming to Wichita State who happens to be from East Carolina. So maybe this, I don't know what this says.
You're smiling. That's the first time I got you to
It does
smile.
say a good thing. I started my New Year's with a victory.
Yes, and they got a little. I see everything now, believe it or not, because of drafting. I got a little dicey towards the end. You got to admit. I was thinking, but then they pulled it out. It looked good.
The hope was there was an opportunity to leave a little bit early. That was that was difficult to do in that game.
Yeah, I like your coach. All right, and Pompeo and Mrs. Pompeo are huge fans of the Shocker. Anyway, you think he'll run for Senate?
Well, that's been my view from the beginning for a long time now, that this was an opportunity that he would take hold. Yeah. He and I've had a number of conversations. I have no insight,
okay.
no firm answer on that question.
You could have broken some news, Senator. Anyway,
yes, sir.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay.